Undergoing or managing? This is the iconistic alternative a company has, in my opinion, to face in the international commerce dynamics. When I have found recurrently my more than 20 years professional career as international lawyer in the companies I have been hired from, is an expected attitude to address the issue of the international transaction, leaving the outcome of the said transactions substantially to chance. I'm talking even of companies of a certain size, such as the average Italian exporting company. Often, the approach related to what are its main sources of wealth in the international markets, to say the least, are suboptimal, if not naive sometimes. Maybe because the matter appears manageable with a certain amount of empiricism and practice, maybe because the involvement of a professional and reputable one in this field, it appears a cost and not an investment. For whatever the reasons, the approach is that of a blindfolded man. Let me just give you a blatant example based on some recent professional episodes. An Italian multinational whose trademark is very renowned in the food sector has been entering a distributorship agreement for the Belgian territory on an exclusive basis with a local legal entity. The parties have been agreeing the application of the Belgian law as the governing law of the contract. Much to the Italian company dismay, it didn't bother to evaluate with its consultants what the consequence of the choice would have been at the end of the commercial relationship. So they discovered, but too late, that this law, the Belgian one, unlike, for example, the English law or even the Italian one, the law which was used to govern the termination phase of the contract, have been applying the agency discipline by analogy, with the consequence of recognizing the same indemnities to the distributor that the law recognized to the agent. By consequence, thanks also to the long-standing duration of the contract, the Italian company has had to face a significant financial loss, a loss completely unexpected and certainly not budgeted in the relationship business plan. Moreover, the example that I just gave you is even quite enlightening to understand the differences in this area from undergoing approach versus a managing approach. What is typical in the negotiation process of the governing law clause is that each party, try to impose its domestic law, which by definition is the law their counsel are familiar with. The quite predictable outcome is that when we have a financial or de facto dominance of one company on the other, we shall have a contractual applicable law of this party. If this is not the case, as in the more recurrent scenario, the parties try to reach a compromise by choosing a third country law. This law is not often, but I dare say almost unfailingly, a law the parties know the less, whose content are in the key elements of governance practically a mystery to the lawyers. Therefore, the choice in the objectively complex subject follows entirely a random logic. It is done with the eyes closed. One of the recurrent pick, for instance, in this case, is the Swiss law, which sounds even neutral. But there is no such law. Indeed, the Swiss discipline under the Federal Court of Obligation, after an initial phase in which the distribution contract was considered by the federal jurisprudence as a distinct contract from the agency contract, so that it has been recognizing to the distributor any final indemnity, it has evolved over the time. And more recently, the Swiss Federal Court has assimilated the distribution relationship with the agency, recognizing the right to compensation of the distributor under certain circumstances. These are the cases in which the distributor is not given any margin of autonomy when his activity is tightly connected and integrated in the retailer chain with slightly difference than an agent. Then, it's always a matter of choice in life. live like in business, like in running your business, deciding or being aware of what the complexities around you and trying to move on to the management phase of this complexity, or opt for the best, cursing the unhappy outcome. We shall always be there for the first option.